Is a closed door rejection? Is it punishment or is it divine protection? That's what we're going to discuss today. In this episode, we will unpack what it means when God closes a door and leaves you feeling rejected, punished, or even disappointed. Welcome to Hearing from God, the podcast helping Christians develop a stronger connection with God. We are discerning his voice so that we can walk boldly in our faith. Today, we will discover why disappointments might actually become divine redirect, and we'll learn how to recognize the difference between closed doors and just temporarily closed doors or obstacles that might be in front of us. We will also gain practical tools for finding peace when our own plans fall apart. Have you ever had those plans where you thought for sure this was going to be your year, this was going to be your job, this was going to be your relationship, this was going to be your moment, and then something takes place? Something just hits you like a ton of bricks. The door is closed. I can remember one particular moment in my life where the door was not only open, it was wide open. And I have this thing where I pray to the Lord, Father, if this is not your will, just close the door, because sometimes I'm not smart enough to know whether I'm supposed to walk through it or not. So I kind of check. I was cracking open the door. I was trying to see if this was a new ministry opportunity for me and my family. And it looked like it was. In fact, they had invited us. And so we were going to be a part of this great ministry. And we had actually put our house on the market to sell. And we got the phone call that the door had been shut completely. Things had shifted. There were some spiritual things that took place, and the door just slammed shut on us. And then we're left with, well, we felt like that was God. So what do we do? Do we go ahead and continue to try and sell our house? Where do we go from here? That is a very, very disappointing moment in my life. But as I look back now and I'm years and years removed from that, I can easily see the hand of God at work. Sometimes it's easier to see it when we're not so close to the picture, when you can put enough time and space between you and that event, you can see more clearly. But when you're going through it, man, it's difficult. And I want to challenge you today, if you're in the middle of some sort of revelation like that, you feel like the door has been closed, try not to despise it. There's an old, I think it's Dallas Holmes song that says, when God closes a door, look through a window. Oh, through the window. And it's the idea that, he may have a window of opportunity waiting somewhere else. Just because the door's closed, don't think that it's closed forever. I think it's probably natural for us to feel very rejected. I know that's kind of the way I felt. It just didn't feel like this was even God. I mean, it felt like it had, honestly, the works of the enemy in my situation. But again, now I can see that God was doing some things. I mean, to me, it seemed perfect. I fit well, my family fit well with the people. There were some obstacles there, there were some red flags, but you know how it is. When you think it's the Lord's will, nothing's gonna stop you. It's kind of the same way in our relationships. When we think that this one is the right one, we're gonna keep going. The old Tina Turner song, I think it is, "What's Love Got to Do with It?" But we're gonna keep moving. There's another old song that says, even the bad love is better than no love at all. I can't remember who sings that one. Someone could post that on there for us. But, a little bit of love is better than no love. Even the sad love is better than no love. And even the bad love is better than no love at all. I got to believe that a little bit of love. I don't know. Anyway, sometimes that's the way we think. I have met with, I don't know how many couples or how many people who were in a relationship and they thought this was the one. And there are red flags everywhere. And you try to tell them that, and they just keep moving forward. They just keep going on with it. They're in love, or so they think, and their little heart is pounding, and they're not going to leave that situation. I've been in there before. I've been in that place before, and it is difficult. It is very difficult. But if you can remove yourself long enough, find a place, find a way to get together with God Even though the rejection hurts or even though the disappointment comes, it is better to go through that now than to enter into a relationship or to go on to another job or career, to pick your family up and move them across the country, whatever may be going on, and then figure out you walk through the door and you shouldn't have. And typically, what happens when we do that, we love to blame God, don't we? That's what Adam and Eve did back in the Garden of Eden. Essentially, remember, they ate of the tree that God said, don't eat of this tree. Do not go down this path. But they looked at it and they thought, oh, this has got to be right. This has got to be God. This has got to be real. And so we're going to partake of the tree. We are going to eat of this tree. And they did. And then, of course, they were hiding because they felt ashamed and they felt guilt. And God was there in the cool of the day or the breeze of the day or the wind of the day. Ruach, the Spirit of God was there. And because they perceived that a little bit differently, what and who God was, now they look through the lens of guilt and shame. And so they hid. And then God says, hey, what's going on? Why are you guys hiding? Who told you that you were naked? What have you done? Have you lost your innocence? I mean, I sense a loving God saying to them, what's going on here, guys? Talk to me. But what does Adam and Eve do? Well, Eve says, well, the serpent, she made me do it. And Adam says, well, God, it's Eve. Eve's the one who gave me the fruit. Eve, the woman that you gave me. He was directly blaming Eve, his spouse, I suppose, but he was indirectly blaming the Lord for giving him the spouse, giving him Eve, which was the most beautiful thing, of course. And that's typically what happens. We get the greatest thing that God could ever give us, the beauty of what is a relationship. We walk through doors. We've got to blame someone. Sometimes we blame ourselves. Sometimes we blame our spouse. Sometimes we blame God. And sometimes we blame all. And the truth of the matter is, we're human and we make mistakes. But here's the beauty of it: God never leaves us nor forsakes us, He doesn't reject us. And sometimes we're going to be finding ourselves asking the question, why? I know that was my situation, Lord. Why is this happening? This does not make any sense. Again, I can look at it now and see the direction that God was moving. It makes perfect sense now. It's been many, many years ago, but if I had gone to that situation, I wouldn't be in this situation. I'm now in a church in my hometown, living near family and close friends, family that I love dearly and friends, and in a church that I love dearly, Joplin First Church, and with people that I think are truly, truly solid Christian folks. And it's a delight to be around them. God has put us in a place where I think we can best not only unite for our family, but also for other individuals around us. You have to remember what you're doing and what your life is about is not just about you. It is also about the people around you. It is about those folks who you are supposed to impact. You have a circle of influence, the circumference that you are standing in. That means all those people that you touch, your circumstance means you're standing in a circle, and everyone that you're touching inside that circle matters. It matters to God, and God's put you in that circumstance for a reason, because He wants you to touch the people that are all around Him. And sometimes we go through things and it feels like rejection, but it's not. It's divine protection, not just for you and possibly your family, but perhaps for others around you as well. God knows exactly the piece of puzzle that you are and where your life fits. And so what we have to be able to do is hear the voice of God, recognize who God is, ask for those doors to be opened or closed, and then don't force them open. Accept that God is closing a door and there's a reason and there's a purpose. Receive that and then keep moving forward the best way you know how, with patience and love and endurance, that steadfastness. It's the Greek word hupomonia. It means to be able to stand no matter the circumstance, the circle that you're standing in. You can stand there with joy. You can stand there with enthusiasm. You can understand that this is a short lived season, that God is taking you to a better place in life, and it'll be fulfilling not just for you and your family, but for those people that are in your circle, that are standing in your circle, your circumstance. Maybe the best picture of that is Jesus himself. I mentioned this last podcast that it needed a little bit more interpretation because I talked about the idea that sometimes we do have questions. And there are those who did ask questions, like Mary did when she asked the angel, how am I going to have a son, the Messiah, when I've never been with a man? There's multiple people in the Bible that asked questions. Jesus himself asked the question, my God, why hast thou forsaken? And while that is a question and it is a picture of the deep darkness that Jesus was bestowing upon himself or had bestowed upon himself as he was accepting the punishment for your sin and my sin, the agony and the separation, I suppose, the Father turning his head because he doesn't look upon sin. And in that moment, that agony, that distress, the greatest pressure anyone could ever be under, being an innocent, worthy God/man and being counted as guilty, unworthy, and dying a horrible death on the cross. He did that for us. At that moment, there was such despair that he cried out, "Oh God, where are you? Where are you? I need you." I don't think God left him. I don't think God leaves you. In fact, again, some further interpretation, that is actually a quote from an Old Testament book, the book of Psalms, Psalm chapter 22, which is sort of a messianic psalm. It's a psalm really of a righteous man who is going through some deep, desperate times. And so it starts out that very way. Father, why have you forsaken? If you read the rest of that psalm, he goes through some terrible, terrible things. He's an honest man, he's an upright man, yet he's being mocked and scorned. He's a good man, he's a righteous man, yet they pierce his hands. He's an innocent man, he's a just man. And what do? They mock him, they pierce him, they sell his clothes or they gamble away his clothing. Sound familiar? It's a picture of sort of what Christ went through there on the cross. But the end of that psalm is what's really poetic and really sort of brings the picture together. At the end, the righteous man says, God, I know you will rescue. I know you are my rescuer. And not only me, but all the earth shall see your goodness, shall see your glory. What Jesus was doing on the cross was fulfilling that messianic psalm, chapter 22. He was, in essence, saying, yes, this feels like hell, but heaven is just 2 days away. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Jesus rose from the grave. The darkest hour of humanity becomes the brightest hour of humanity. And that's what we have to see. Sometimes what feels like the darkness of rejection is only moments away from becoming the brightness of his shining, of him saying, son, I need you to come. I need you to go. I need you to fulfill. You have a plan. You have a purpose. God desires for you to fulfill that purpose probably more than you desire to fulfill that purpose. So sometimes he withdraws things even from us, or closes doors that he might get our desire level up. The place where I'm at now is not the place I thought I'd be, nor did I really desire to be here years and years ago. But now I am absolutely delighted to be here, and I don't know where else I would be that I could really feel this fulfilled in him. And I'm believing that my circumstance, that the people that God has put in my circle, as broad or as narrow as it is, are impacted as well, just as Jesus impacted the whole world because he stands in the middle of it. We impact our whole world as we stand in the middle of it. And our cry to God is this: Lord, help me. Help me to walk through the doors that you open. Help me to sense that a closed door is just another step. It's a stepping stone, it's a building block. And who I am and what I'm about and what you have for me as an individual, as a father, as a son, as a mother, as a daughter, as a businessman, as an employee, whatever the case may be, God is building you. He is creating in you something beautiful. He creates and he makes all things beautiful in his time. We sometimes try to get ahead of that. Don't try to get ahead of the Lord. Wait patiently, pray often, believe with your whole heart. Get that prayer journal out and keep writing things in it. Father, this door closed, and tell him how it feels. Lord, I feel like I'm rejected. And just wait. Give yourself a little time or God a little time to respond. Sometimes silence is what we need. Take a portion, a tithe of your prayer, and just sit in silence. So if you pray for 10 minutes, take 1 minute and just be silent. Ask the question, God, why did you do this? Why has this happened to me? And then listen to the response. If I know the Lord and I know how he deals with me, the response will be something of this nature: man, because I love you, because I have a plan for you, my son, because I need you, my daughter, because I'm protecting you from what might have been. I'm protecting others from what could have been. I am bringing together that which will work best for all of the folks that are in that circle that we're standing in. Let God speak to your heart. He wants to. If the door is closed, try not to despise it. Go to the Lord, ask him, thank him for the protection, and then do your best to stand there and say, okay, God, what do you have for me right here, right now? I'm willing and I'm ready. God bless you. Thank you again for watching. We're putting these out every Monday and Thursday. And as always, we'd love for you to follow and like and subscribe and all those things. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.